We'll talk to Zoe a little more in a moment, but also with us today is Nigel Warrack, who was based in this area long before the tragedy and has been working with children from this postcode and nearby for a long time now with a group called Flying Gorillas. Nigel, I should also add that by one of these astonishing twists of fate, you're also the stepson of the amazing woman that taught me English at a school in the middle of North Yorkshire 30 years ago.
Attempted to, anyway.
Attempted to teach me English. I hope she's not too embarrassed by the results. But before we speak specifically about the Grenfell reaction, tell me a little bit about the Flying Gorillas.
Well, as you say, we've been working in the area for 20 years now, so some of the children that we used to work with are now grown up and actually work with us as volunteers, teaching assistants, and in one case a performer. The work is dance and live music for children. The current show is classical music and breakdance. A lot of our performers are from mainland Europe because our main funder is the Creative Europe programme of the EU.
Do you know, we were trying to get through the show today without mentioning Brexit, and you've just driven a coach and horses through that noble ambition, but quite rightly on this occasion. So now this is interesting, isn't it? Because it was one of your liaisons in Brussels that noticed in the immediate aftermath of the fire that your business address had the same postcode as the tragedy she was reading about, and she got in touch with you almost immediately. That's
right. It was our our officer in Brussels. A matter of days afterwards, as you say, she spotted London W11 and called initially to ask if we were okay, and then to discuss how their unit, if there's anything they could do to help. And what they are doing is organising and paying for 4 or 5 young classical musicians from different European countries. They're competition winners in their own country, so they're really kind of world class. They'll be coming over next April, and we'll be doing our show with classical music and breakdance at Zoe's venue, which we were just discussing in the Crow's Nest, as well as all the local primary schools. And
just give me an idea of what the children derive, and try not to be unduly modest, if you know what I mean by that. What do the children derive from this sort of, I don't know what the correct phrase would be, a discreet provision of help? I know you described it as when you emailed me. It's a sort of soft therapy, perhaps.
Yes, it really does have an impact, positive impact, on the mental health crisis that we're all facing in this area. Of course, we can't claim to be medical professionals in any way, but the provision of fun, positive, energetic, creative activities like breakdance, engaging in classical music, trapeze sessions, it provides a distraction, it provides a sense of normality, and it allows people to engage with what you might call the well part of themselves. And what that can do is alleviate the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. And once the symptoms are alleviated, then people become more susceptible to treatment. So there's, I think, especially, I don't know if it's right to say, but people from different cultural backgrounds may be more shy to ask for help, prefer professional help.
Yes.
And so, just, I think all I'm saying it can do is provide some relief and make people more amenable to treatment.
And all art takes one out of oneself. That's what it's designed to do. So I suppose that the harder it is being oneself, the more important this kind of artistic intervention becomes. It's going to sound like I'm banging a very personal drum on this one, but I think it merits a mention that we have heard a lot about how slow the local authorities and indeed national government was to respond. Not so the European Union. I know one of your participants, Yusuf, who's 9 years old, has picked up on this.
Yes, that was very sweet. That was Yusuf, who was on the green with us during the breakdance session. He said something like, well, it's nice to know that people who are really far away think about us.
People who are really far away are thinking about us. 60% of the support that Flying Gorillas arts activities in North Kensington has received since 2007, and of course long before Grenfell you were working with children, disabled people, elderly people and many others. 60% of that support came from those EU transnational funds. Do you have any idea what's going to happen after Brexit?
That's a nobody knows question. I think what we do know is that if there's no deal and the UK crashes out, then there will be no question of us having access to the transnational funds. If there's some sort of compromise or backtracking, then there's a good chance that there will be some sort of eligibility to the three big ones, which are the Creative Europe for Culture, Erasmus for Education and Horizon 2020 for Scientific Research. And
finally, Nigel, I know that some of the children that you work with were in the tower that night, but luckily managed to escape and are safe. But of course some of their teachers, friends and family members did not. Children seem, and I don't want to sound trite when I say this, but listening to the Kids on the Green clip earlier, which Rachel reported on, kids seem perhaps to be better at processing this stuff than adults are.
They are better at processing trauma, certainly in the short term. We had a little boy in the school that's very close to here, St Francis of Assisi. Last time we did a show there, we all have the T-shirts that have the Grenfell heart on the back, and 9-year-old boy came up and said to me, "Why have you got Grenfell on your T-shirt? That was last year."
So he's moved on.
Well, for him it was last year, because last year he was year 4, this year he's year 5.
Oh, bless him. And there's a sort of, I don't know, an acceptance of stuff. And also you don't realise how extraordinary it is, perhaps, if you're young and haven't been around for 50 years and only seen something like this happen once. Please God, nobody ever sees it again. Zoe, it occurs to me that we took a little bit for granted for people who may not have been listening last time you were here. You sprang up almost organically the day after, the morning after the fire, and have subsequently gone from strength to strength. So who comes to Kids on the Green, and what do they do when they get there?
The Kids on the Green is for the whole of the community in Latimer. It's a provision that seeks to engage the family unit rather than just the children. We're here just as much for the parents as we are for the kids. So we try to create an environment that's supportive, and it's the best way to describe Kids on the Green is a fusion between therapies and play. So obviously we have a very strong mental health team that work with us around the clock every session, but we also have lots of amazing arts practitioners, so the children can engage in meaningful arts-based activities, anything from circus to music, dance. Nigel's done a lot of dance with us, whilst the parents can sit and perhaps have a really informal chat with the counsellor, or just chat with each other. And we've been able to bring lots of the community together who perhaps wouldn't have known each other before. I mean, that's something that a lot of the parents have said to us, is Kids on the Green has given them an opportunity to get to know their neighbours and members of the community that they perhaps wouldn't have met before or socialised with before. And the children, they come and they play and they have fun. And I think what Nigel said about creating distraction, that's really what we've tried to do. We've tried to replace some of those horrible memories that we know would have been inevitable, yes, with some good ones.
And it becomes, I suppose, part of these children's lives in a way now after 6 months, rather than something out of the ordinary and a sense of relief at the time. I hope you don't mind me mentioning this, but a colleague and I were commenting during the break on how much better you look than the last time we saw you, because you were frazzled, not to put too fine a point on it.
I don't think there was sleep for, I think when I met you before it was 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
It was a month, yeah, it was 4 weeks.
It was a month afterwards. Yeah. It was
and
just...
you were all over the place, but you were still doing this astonishing job. But you still shed a little tear when we were listening to the clip there from Kids on the Green. How do you look after yourself?
Well, we have clinical supervision now. We didn't for a long time.
Yes.
Now we do. So we have a wonderful lady that comes and does that, and she's there for anyone, any staff or volunteer member from Kids on the Green, and we do that once a fortnight. But we talk to each other. and I think that's really important.
Yes, absolutely. How can people listening? We're getting what's the collective noun for roofers? Does anyone know? We're getting a few roofers in touch. I'll stress again, we're not looking for anybody to give up, 2 weeks or 2 months of their livelihood and come out massively out of pocket. We're just looking for someone who might be able to pop down. We'll do all the liaison to this corner of London, North Kensington, Ladbroke Grove, Notting Hill, if you're not familiar with the area. It's in that sort of postcode, and just have a look at why the room in which the kids on the green kids are supposed to be having their Christmas party on Saturday will be more like a fish tank if we cannot find a way of temporarily plugging this hole in the roof. So email me, james@lbc.co.uk, or ring in and speak to Jacob, and we'll take your details. We won't hold you to anything, or just try and find out how plausible it is that we can fix this stuff up. But if other people listening, Zoe, want to make a contribution to the work that you're doing, how can they go about doing that?
At the moment, we do have a U-Caring site. There seems to be a couple of technical issues with that at the moment. So we have a community Kids on the Green account. So if people contact me by email or on the Facebook page, send us a message. Facebook is Kids on the Green W11, so you can send me a message on there, and then we can message you back the account details. Or you can email me, which is zoe@kidsonthegreen.com. And again, we can let you know how you can make a direct donation.
Fantastic stuff. Zoe Levac, thank you very much indeed. And
Thank you.
Nigel Warrack as well from Flying Gorillas, thank you. Will you give my love to your stepmom?